ask where I work or what I do, I tell them, you know, I work in a 2-room schoolhouse. I live far away from most things, and they don't believe me. They think that it doesn't even exist, but truthfully it does. After moving out here, I saw the true definition of rural. You know, you can depend on your neighbor, and we are in a community that everybody wants to see everyone else succeed.
My name is Carolyn Whitney, and I work at the French Glen School District. It is a K-8 school district. I teach self-contained kindergarten through 8th grade. I am referred to as the head teacher, but I am the only teacher currently.
We are very well known for 10,000 square miles, more cattle than people. I grew up in small schools, but didn't know what small was until I came to Eastern Oregon.
We have families that have students that are on the bus for 50 miles of dirt road, so they're very remote. If we didn't provide busing in our remote area, we wouldn't probably have students.
The community of Nissa population is just over 3,000. We have one stoplight. It's quiet. That safety network is there. My children can go get a couple of the neighbor kids or neighbor grandkids and play ball on the street. That's not something majority of Oregon can experience, and we get that experience.
I work in Wallowa, and it's got 800 people, and the average class size about 15 kids per grade level, and it's a town where everybody knows everybody knows everybody's grandpa or grandma.
A lot of people still don't lock their doors at night, that I can walk out my front door and hear coyotes howl in the morning, hear turkeys gobbling up on the hill next to town, and I can be in the mountains in 5 minutes.
Having to teach multiple grade levels in one day can be very stressful. Just going back and forth from lessons, you've got to have everything planned. But the reward is that you get to see the students grow up together, and you would think that students would do better with similar grade level students. But even with a mixed classroom, it's really rewarding to get to see the students grow together, and how the older students want to help the younger students, and how the younger students have somebody to look up to. Some days you would think that it wouldn't work with them all being in one room, especially when you've got, brothers and sisters. But surprisingly enough, there's days that you just kind of sit back and you watch them all play together at recess or something, and it's just great to see how well that they get along.
I love the autonomy that you have in the rural schools. The workload is significant. I think it's, there's really not a model for anybody in, going through most of the education programs. There's nothing to prepare them for teaching in the rural school. But I do love that you're such an integral part of every aspect of that school, and that can be a really positive, powerful thing. Or sometimes, depending on your support system, it can be kind of a heavy load.
The rural schools, you don't really have the team like that anymore because, at this point, I'm the only teacher at my school. Fortunately, our ESD is very supportive, and we've been building a rural school team, and that's been wonderful. The thing about the rural schools that professionally is something I really, really like is I get to decide how I do it. And teaching multi-grade, most of the time, it's a theme. We have a theme. Everybody's working on the same theme. We're tying in math, science, social studies, art, PE, everything's tied together. And it gives me the flexibility to do that how I want, and the ability to touch that teachable moment that we have the rarity of getting. So that part of teaching at a rural school, you don't get to do in a big school.
The benefits of teaching in a rural community include getting to know a family, generation, having kids for multiple years. I've taught a lot of kids for 6 years, even more, and that part's been amazing. Like they kind of start to become one of your kids. They're one of your kids, not just for a year, but through their whole lives and their wedding and beyond.
Trying to learn and get to know 500 kids versus trying to learn and get to know 50 kids, it is so different, and I feel like there's that connectedness and that sense of the family unit.
I certainly have the perspective of working in rural and non-rural, and definitely from my perspective enjoy rural more. I think it's mostly about the relationships that you build with people, knowing families, knowing the name of every student. It just feels like we're able to impact students in a helpful way more when we can have those positive relationships. I know when I came here as an administrator, my colleagues on the west side, pretty much encouraged me not to, in the sense that there wouldn't be support, that I would be alone in this tiny community with no other supports or administrators, and I found that to be completely false. That when I originally moved over, the support that was available through the ESD and the other administrators in different districts who were helpful and reached out, that support is there.
If someone was considering teaching rural, I would say don't let the term rural scare you away from it, because I always truly thought that I'd want to be in a very structured classroom with one grade level, multiple students, making one lesson plan and quote being really good at it. But then once I got out here and I started teaching, I saw how much I enjoyed it, and now I'm at the point that I don't know if I would want to teach in a traditional classroom, just because this is such a unique experience, and you truly get to help the students and form relationships with them, and it's just an experience like you'll never have anywhere else.